everyone. Welcome to another episode of Eat Something with Dee. Once again, I want to start off by saying thank you so much to everybody that's been tuning in and watching later on. Some of you have sent me comments telling me that you tried my recipes and that your families loved it, and that just makes me so happy. Feeding people is one of the biggest joys of my life, and to know that I'm helping you to feed your people just doubles my joy, so thank you so much. Please keep those comments coming in. I want to see pictures of what you make for your friends and family. I would love to see what you come up with, what variations you do of my recipes. It just makes me really, really happy. So thank you to everybody. Shout outs to people that sent me your photos already. Shout outs to people that sent me your comments. I love it, I love it, I love it. Please keep it coming. Let's get started on today's recipe. Today I'm going to be making a breakfast/tea time recipe that I grew up eating back home in India. Now, as you know, as Indians, we love our rice and we like to eat it in all sorts of different forms. And one of the forms that I'm going to be making for you today is called poha. Now, poha is essentially flattened rice, and you can get it in all sorts of different thicknesses. Some of them are like so thin that they're like translucent and you can see through it, and some of it is slightly thicker. Sometimes apparently, what I just read, 4 times as thick as a grain of rice. So we're going to be using the thicker form today and making you poha, which you can eat for breakfast or maybe a tea time snack, like I said. Now, in case you're not Indian, and in case you don't have access to an Indian grocery store, I want to make these recipes as accessible as possible, so you can also do it with couscous or quinoa. I've tried it out. It turns out to be just as delicious, and quinoa and couscous is really more easily available in your regular grocery store, right? So let's get started right away. I'm going to get into the ingredients. There aren't too many, and it's a really quick and happy, easy recipe. So let's go. Okay, I'm going to turn my camera down to my ingredients. I'm going to move you over this way. Yay! Now, let's get started with the common ingredients, whether you're using couscous or poha. We have 2 tablespoons of cooking oil, whatever you like, olive oil, canola oil, whatever takes your fancy. Got about a 1/4 cup of chopped up red onions. I prefer red onions in Indian style cooking. It's got a little more tang to it. I've got about a 1/2 cup of boiled and chopped up potatoes. Potatoes are kind of optional. Sometimes I use them, sometimes I don't. Just depends on if I decided to boil some. So you can use this or not. That's optional. And then for garnish, I've got about a 1/4 cup of coriander or cilantro. And for those of you that can't stand it, you can avoid this. But we're going to use a little bit of this for garnish and then a little bit in the recipe as well. Then we come down to our pretty little spoons. Do you like my spoons? I love these spoons. Anyway, about a 1/4 teaspoon of mustard seeds, about a 1/2 teaspoon of ginger garlic paste. Now, I have this paste just made in my fridge. Essentially, you take equal parts of ginger and garnish, grind it up, throw it in a bottle, chuck it in your fridge, and it'll stay for a really, really long time. It's a standard in most of my recipes. So, 1/2 teaspoon of ginger garlic paste, 1 teaspoon of salt, or to taste, because really it depends on how much salt you like. I've got a 1/2 tablespoon of green chilies. You guys know how much I love my green chilies. If you can't handle the spice, avoid it or reduce it according to your taste. Nothing is hard and fast. And then this is a little interesting thing. These are curry leaves. I've got I think about 7 or 8 in here. They're dried up. You can buy them fresh at your grocery store. And if you leave them in your fridge long enough, honestly, they'll just dehydrate by themselves. But they really do keep the taste. So that's curry leaves there. Again, depends on how big they are, but these are I've got about, I feel like 7 to 10 maybe in there. And then the only real powdered spice you're going to use in this recipe is turmeric. We're going to use about a teaspoon of that. And now let's come to our poha or couscous. Now, if you're going to use couscous, you can see there, this is 2 cups of cooked couscous. If you're using couscous, it expands like crazy. So you generally cook up about 1 cup and it'll give you more than 2 cups of cooked couscous. So that's 2 cups of couscous. But if you're using poha, this is what dried poha looks like. It's very dry, completely dehydrated. And poha doesn't actually need to be pre-cooked, nor does it expand as much as couscous does. All you need with poha, if you want 2 cups of cooked poha. You're going to use about 1.5 cups of dry poha. And then what you do with poha is you put it in a sieve and you essentially run it under running water. And so you just rinse it. You don't soak it. If you soak it, it's going to turn into full-on mush. You don't want that. You want it rinsed, and then you want it to expand by soaking the water just a little bit, but it's still pretty dry, you know. It's got the water in there, but it's pretty dry. So you achieve that by just rinsing it under running water, and then you can just put it on a bowl and let it sit for a little bit to drain any excess water. I don't know if you can see my little bowl there. So that's my poha, and that's what we're going to use today. But like I said, you can use couscous. So let's get started. Let me get you over to my stove here. Hi, there's my stove. And so I've already got my oil heating. I'm going to lift my camera just a little bit so you can see what's going on. There we go. That's perfect. So I've got my oil already heating in here. And then I'm going to pray that it's hot enough so you can see what happens when you put mustard seeds into hot oil. There you go. You see how it's bubbling up there? Let me bring my camera over. See, it bubbles up and then it starts to sputter. And that's how that lovely mustardy flavor gets released. So you've got your mustard seeds there. Yes, you can hear them spattering. Just be a little bit careful, because if they spatter in your eye, that's no fun. And then you're going to be cooking half blind, and who wants that? So careful with the sputtering mustard seeds. And then I like to put in my curry leaves right away. And I don't want them to burn, so I chuck in my onions as well right away. And then I use a little fork thingy for this, because when you're cooking poha, it tends to break up and it tends to get mushy really quickly. So you don't want to use a big flat spoon. It's just going to mush down your poha. So now you've got your onions cooking. Oh God, I have this thing with the smell of cooking onions. It's so delicious. Look at that. So yummy. Now, you want to just get the onions just slightly translucent. You don't want to burn them. You don't want to cook them down too much. You chuck in your ginger garlic paste there. And I also like to put my chilies in at this point, because I like to cook them up just a little bit. So, got that going in there. Beautiful. God. They should bottle this and sell it as a scent. I don't know if anybody would buy it but me, but the smell of frying onions and chilies is just heaven to me. So, as you can see, I'm just off topic or on topic. I don't know. I'm using a non-stick cooking pan, pot, bowl, whatever, because again, poha is one of those things that you're not going to put any more oil, you're not going to put any more water in here, and if it sticks to the bottom, it's going to burn. So I would go for a non-stick cooking pot. Just invest in it, it's totally worth it. And then, once you've got that going, throw in about a teaspoonful of turmeric, maybe just a titch more. Do you guys remember what a titch is? A titch is less than half a teaspoon, more than 1/4 teaspoon. So you've got it. Now it looks all nice and yellow with your turmeric, and you've got that turmeric smell coming through as well. Delicious. At this point, I will chuck in my potatoes. If you're not doing potatoes, you can avoid them, but I'm going to throw my potatoes in. Now, like I said, these potatoes have been boiled previously and just chopped up into little bite-sized chunks. So you get your potatoes in there because they're already nice and cooked. They don't really need to cook too much more. And just coat them all with the onions and the chilies and all that deliciousness. And now you're already ready for your poha. So all you do is chuck it in. Nice and gentle. Now, like I said, you don't want to be manipulating or bashing around this poha too much because essentially it just gets mushy really, really quickly. So like I said, I use like a slotted spoon or a little large plastic fork, whatever this thing is called. And then you just fold it around with your turmeric and your potatoes and your chilies and your onions and all that deliciousness in your pot. Mmm. Isn't that beautiful? That's coming together so nicely. I love it. I've done these recipes a million times by myself, but when you're doing them on camera, you want so much for them to turn out pretty. So it makes me really, really happy when it turns out. So here we go. And that's really it. That's all it takes to make this wonderful flattened rice breakfast or tea time snack. Now, at this point, if you're using cilantro, you want to throw in about a half of your amount of cilantro, because I like the taste of the cilantro in there as well, cilantro or coriander. And then I also use it as garnish, like I said. So you just, again, gently fold. Don't mush around your poha too much. It will become mush. This is the theme of today. Don't bash your food. Right? And you mix your coriander in there. And that's it. Look how pretty. Right? Pretty. I like it. It's delicious and it smells absolutely amazing. And again, this is one of those dishes that's not super spicy or anything. You can really just avoid the chilies altogether and you won't have any heat factor in it at all, and it'll still be really delicious and simple. So let me put this in a little bowl for you guys. But while I'm doing that, I'll also show you, here's my face. I'll also show you what the couscous looks like. So here's our bowl. And I'm just gonna put in my poha. Maybe for the serving part you need a spoon. So here, once it's cooked, you can serve it up with a nice spoon. Just ladle it into a bowl. I eat like quantities of this stuff. I'm sure like nobody has that much of an appetite for this, but I eat like large quantities of poha. And this is brunch time for me on a Sunday, so this is going to be my meal. Like I said, I always eat what I cook. I do not like to waste. So this is my poha all ready. How quick was that, right? All you need is a little bit of pre-prep and you're ready to go. Barely takes even 10 minutes. And then you just garnish on top with your cilantro. For those of you who are cringing because it tastes like soap to you, just avoid it. And that's your poha. It is absolutely one of my favorite quick breakfasts to make if I don't feel like eating eggs or oatmeal or whatever and I have a little bit of craving for home food. Now this is what the poha looks like. I pre-prepared some with couscous, and there's your couscous version of poha. You can put potatoes in it or not. I avoided potatoes in the couscous, but I put potatoes in my poha. And it honestly like looks really similar and it also tastes really, really great. Couscous is one of my favorite alternative grains, I guess you could call it. And this recipe, honestly, you can use it with any of these grains. Couscous, poha, quinoa. Either way, it just takes on, these grains are kind of not exactly majorly flavorful by themselves, and so they just take on whatever you're gonna, put in them. So I'm just gonna make my camera. There we go. All right, and that's it. That was a really quick recipe. I'm glad it went by fast. I'm glad it turned out so pretty. So please try it. Let me know if you did poha or if you did couscous, and write into me. Tell me if you love it. Tell me if you don't love it. Well, actually, don't tell me if you don't love it. I don't know if I can take that rejection. All right, okay. That's my poha. That's my recipe for today. I'm going to go enjoy this. You guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and thank you for joining me. I will see you next week. Bye.